Before I get started on this video, I must make it clear that I am by no means reporting about any potential resurrection of the Yu Yu Hakusho franchise in the near future. It is extremely unlikely for any manga or anime series to ever be brought back after an extensive period of remaining dormant. In order for any series to make a comeback after so long, it would need to be seen as a viable option financially for that series to return. And as far as my knowledge goes, there's been very little in terms of Yu Yu Hakusho merchandising recently. There was a bit of news about collectible rubber keychains earlier this year, but that's all I can really remember. I'm also not sure if Yoshihiro Togashi would be ever interested in returning to the franchise at this time. Still, Yu Yu Hakusho is a very important series to a lot of people, including myself. Sure, the series might have struggled to find its footing after the battle with Toguro, but at least the build-up to the Sensui arc was riveting, and also produced some of the best fights in the series. The Three Kings arc is where the series kind of falls on its face. A lot of us were expecting an all-out war, instead we got another tournament. I believe that Togashi himself really wanted to build the series to a war between the demon and spirit worlds, but he was convinced to do another tournament arc instead, and that's where the series really shows its exhaustion. The last arc of this series feels extremely rushed, but it doesn't actually stop it from being a fantastic ending. Honestly, one of the reasons I believe a lot of people don't talk about this series on YouTube is because there's nothing really to talk about. Even with the rushed pace and the been there done that ending, it still really holds up. Almost all the bases are covered, and there's really not much left for this story to say. Maybe if anything, that's the reason the show doesn't actually need to come back, but this is the internet, damn it, and we're going to talk about it nonetheless. So with that being said, here's my basic outline for where I think this series should go if it were ever to continue. At the end of the series, it is stated that the Demon World's new political structure has remained intact for 3 years without much incident. The reputation for Demon World's image throughout the entire story had been based on a few outliers and an effective propaganda campaign enforced by Spirit World. In fact, many demons in Demon World were actually socially civilized. The only reason they had a whole lot of problems is because of the reign of the Three Kings. That's a very interesting concept and a hell of a way to end your series by throwing a wrench into almost everything the audience has been told or believes up until this point. And the sequel series would really have to continue that trend by showing that the world is super gray instead of black and white. Anyway, at the end of the series, Yusuke and his friends are around 18 years old in 1994, and they just inherited Genkai's mountain temple. It's important to note that she dies in the manga, but she's still alive in the anime. However, this isn't really important to me, as I would begin this series in present day with the characters aging appropriately, or at least close enough. Genkai would be dead, and I kinda like to think of Yusuke as being around 39, as he would be in 2015, so the series would probably have to start in 2015. 39 would be great for Yusuke, because then we could show him being in somewhat of a midlife crisis at this point. Although I guess being a demon, he wouldn't necessarily have a midlife crisis at 39, but I'm proposing that he has stayed in human world this whole time, and we can assume that he is in somewhat of a midlife crisis. Yusuke spends almost all of his time in Genkai's temple to feel closer to demon world, and lives out his days in sheer boredom. Over the time skip, it would be implied that he kept his promise to Keiko and they remain married in the present day, but Keiko is the sole breadwinner. They would have no children at this time, and the biological clock would be basically on its last legs, which would make a whole lot of interesting character decisions for the two going forward. As for everyone else, Kuwabara and Yukina would definitely be in some sort of a relationship at this point, but it would still be rather uneven, as Yukina still wouldn't understand the whole dynamic. Shizuru would be married and living in the city. I'm not sure we'd see a whole lot of her. Kurama would be some sort of a researcher or professor in human world and keeping his promise to never return to the form of Yoko Kurama up until this point. And he would be the only one still keeping in touch with Hiei, who is still in a pseudo-relationship with Mukuro. Botan would still come around to see everyone ever so often, and Koenma has retooled the Spirit Detective program, with Kuroko's children being in charge. I don't know a whole lot about Japanese mythology or stuff like that, but I would love to see the series start back at its roots and work its way to an epic climax. I would start the series with Kaisei and Fuboki investigating a strange kick-up in suicides in certain parts of Japan. They would eventually figure out that there is an abnormal amount of Baku in the area. Baku are beings that feed off of dreams and nightmares of the Japanese people. They come when you call them, but you must use them sparingly, because they also devour one's hopes and desires, leading that person to live an empty life. They are able to stop an outbreak in one area, but they realize the infestation is spreading faster than they can control. It is soon figured out that the Baku are being controlled by an outside force unknown to both demon and spirit world. This causes a slight rift between the already fragile alliance between the two, and communication stops altogether. While investigating the case, Kaisei dies, and this emotionally breaks Fubuki in the process. Fubuki retreats from the job altogether, and Koenma and Botan are forced to ask for Yusuke's help. Along the way, the Baku infestation would affect the closer people in Yusuke's life, including Keiko. This would cause her to lose her desire in life and challenge Yusuke to battle his disillusions of past glory and focus on the here and now. Ultimately, the mastermind behind everything would be revealed to be someone in Spirit World, thus reinforcing the lesson learned in the original series about how the world isn't always black and white and instead it's a fine gray. Anyway, that's all I really have on this subject. Maybe you like it, maybe you don't. I would really love to see Yu Yu Hakusho come back, but it isn't really necessary, and if it were to come back, it would have to be for the right reasons. Anyway, Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. I hope everyone has a nice day. Bye.